so cute. Sorry if you hear scratching in the background. My dog is scratching, trying to get attention.
That's okay.
Wow, that looks awesome.
Yeah, so it looks like Stephanie joined a meeting at a little after 5. So, but I don't know what that was.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know if she had a quick meeting with somebody. I'm just looking at the Zoom things in my mailbox.
They have a waffle cookie, I think, that they offer that you can have so you can have it for breakfast, the waffle cookie.
Well, I bet that would be yummy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those cookies are so rich.
These guys, they have them here in Florida, and they show up at all the different events. And I told them, I said, I'm gonna, when you show up at an event, I'm gonna show up with a membership to the gym. So when you sell your cookies, I'm gonna sell gym memberships.
After
My problem is that I live around the corner from a really good candy store, which is also a post office.
Oh, wow.
Oh gosh.
It's a combination. Oh boy.
Well, so I'll go in there because I got my mom who lives in it. Okay, it's a Ruth Hunt. There's only 2 of them, and one of them's in Lexington, Kentucky, and the other one's in Mount Sterling, Kentucky. And so the one in Lexington, Kentucky is around the corner from me. So my mom I got her all addicted to their candy. And so when I'll go there to send her a box of her favorite salted caramel, chocolate covered salted caramels. And then while I'm there, I'll go, ooh, and I'm also going to get some chocolate dipped Twinkies,
Oh my word, chocolate dipped Twinkies.
Oh, they're
my
chocolate.
Oh yeah.
Lord.
Oh boy.
That's like a long king dong.
Yeah,
Wow.
they're really good.
My word.
They don't even taste like regular Twinkies, even the underneath part.
Ooh.
They're just amazing. Yeah, I gave a couple packages of chocolate covered Twinkies and one of their little small grab and go boxes of the salted caramels to the mechanic who fixed my truck the other day. It was like, he was like going, oh, what is this? I said, so, because he really kind of undercharged me. So that's why I gave him the candy. It's like, here you go, dude. I came back with the candy. Anyway.
We have 2 of those places here in Louisville.
Oh, do you have a Ruth Hunt as well, or?
No, the insomnia cookies.
Oh, the insomnia. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, 2 of them, and I've never heard of it before.
Yeah.
We have everything in Dallas. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know these things even existed. My husband's gonna kill me.
I can't wait to try them. After watching that video.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know. That gingerbread cookie looks amazing.
Well, I've got one of each. I've got one in Evanston for the insomnia, and I've got the crumble in Naperville. So
Nice.
road trip.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh my
Crumble's
God.
right up the road, but the insomnia is in downtown Dallas. So there are 2 of them. One's right by the Stars, the stadium, AAC, where
Yeah.
Stars play.
We
The other one's
yeah.
right by the fair.
Well,
State fair.
Yeah, near where I live, there are like about, it's an area that used to be warehouses, and there are a lot of like different fitness places. And so it's funny because it's got to be one of the largest concentration of, fitness centers of various kinds. It goes from, weightlifting and aerobics and things like that to different types of, dancercise and karate and judo and stuff like that. And but there's also down there's also a cookie store. I forget what it's called, but it's all macaroons or macaron or whatever. It's all French and stuff. But so it's like they felt like they had to have that there because of all the fitness centers. You can have too much.
Too much good.
Too much health, right?
They probably get everything
Counteracting all the food with
gluten-free.
cuteness, okay?
Aw.
Oh,
Oh, how cute. Yeah.
It's a disappearing dog.
Yeah, I guess my background's making her disappear, but she
She's
says,
there,
I'm
but-
here on the beach.
Aw,
I think she needs a cookie.
Yeah.
that's
There you go.
here.
God. Yeah, just what she needs is to be more wild. Sure.
Yeah.
She approves of that, though.
Well, look who's here.
Yeah.
Hey, I I got a last minute call from work and it was a lot high leaders and I'm like, do I ditch the event for a couple minutes or do I ignore them?
Do you ditch the leaders or whatever? Yeah.
It was a crapshoot. And then so Kathy's like, where are you? I'm like, I'm coming. So hi, how is everyone tonight?
We're doing pretty good.
Doing good.
Excellent. I was gonna wear my elf ears, but with
Aw.
the Zoom thing, you
Oh,
can't
it goes
really.
away.
Let's
See 'em
see.
on your head.
There we go. Just pretend like I got them on. Either that or lose the backdrop. Oh,
You
she's
like
no longer-
Kathy's,
Marcy was no longer on the beach there for a moment. Okay.
Oh, she's going to outer space now.
Sandra's out in outer space.
Yeah, I like to do it through my browser, so I can only use what Zoom gives us.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Okay. So how do you like Kathy's Cookie Monster cookies?
It's
pretty awesome.
I think
cute.
those are great. Those
Yeah.
Those
are
are
great.
macaroons, right?
I think so. Yeah. I think that's what they are. They are Cookie Monster macaroons. Yeah. I think that's what it said when I Googled it, Because, I
All I
just,
think is C is for cookie and the cookie is for me. Remember?
Oh, geez. I love it. Hey, as long as you don't start singing, what is it? A BA girl? Aaron, help me out with that one.
I'd be
I'm a
a,
BA
Girl.
Girl in an agile world. We're going to be
Oh my
okay.
gosh.
Yeah,
Wow. I don't
That
know
was
the
brilliant.
lyrics to that one, but I've lived it.
Do you guys remember that one?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
brilliant.
yeah.
You
It was
remember
brilliant.
it. It
Yeah.
did exactly what
Honestly-
it had to.
It's a note to self when doing a presentation, come up with a jazzy tune or some
Yeah.
cookies or something where people remember it, because that was almost 2 years ago.
Yeah,
And it's still playing in my head because
Yeah.
she's singing so much.
she's
all-
famous for it.
If it was a presentation by the Bluegrass chapter, and I don't remember her name, but I remember her song. You
that's
guys-
right. I don't
yeah.
remember her
Don't
name.
remember her name?
No, I don't
I
either.
don't either.
You have- Oh, there
Yeah.
we go.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Wow.
It's too bad she didn't have cookies in the background.
About analysis.
Close.
Join me on July 15th to have a conversation about working as an analyst in an agile environment. I heart analysis, and I heart working in an agile environment with collaboration and trust all around me. Let's talk about discussing requirements with stakeholders, communicating with the development teams, breaking down features from strategy to delivery, and writing requirements to invest. Let's sing a little. Let's learn a few things together. Most of all, I'm a BA girl in an agile world. Don't you want to be one too?
There we go.
That is classic.
Yeah.
That's creative.
We don't have to give her like copyrights for her song, do we? I'm dropping a bunch of the cookie backgrounds for those of you that have cookie envy. Kathy Lee and Aaron and Kathy Warren came up with our awesome background for today's social event. So welcome everyone. Glad you're here. And I've been trying to this whole time trying to put my head like that, so that way it would, but it's not going to work for me tonight. So anyway, so welcome. We're going to have some fun. We're going to do cookie recipe exchange or whatever recipe that you like, as well as a bunch of socialization. And then hopefully, Aaron, we don't listen to that song again, but perhaps by the end of the night we'll want to, not sure. And then we're going to do a mind mapping session. And fortunately for me, let me see, George Bridges from the Southeast Michigan chapter. Welcome, George, is gonna help out a little bit with the mind mapping as well. So we're gonna rope him in. He owes me a favor.
Okay.
A big favor. We won't tell you why, but so anyway, so if you look in your chat, what'd you say, George?
I think, no.
You look in the chat, there's some files out there as well.
Okay.
So let's see who is on. Has everybody had a chance to say hi to each other? We've got Christopher. How are you tonight? Great. See, he's got his background. We got Tamara.
I put my cookies behind me, so I'm good.
Awesome, awesome. No pressure to put cookies behind you.
I think
by the
I've
way.
got mine all backwards now, but I'm working on it. Trying to load it into this silly Zoom.
Oh,
here.
yeah, we're up to 17 people now.
Wow,
Good, yeah.
that's awesome. That's awesome. So maybe we'll get 17 cookie recipes for our recipe book that we'll get afterwards. So at the end of the session as well, not only will you learn a little bit about mind mapping and cookies, but you'll also get a recipe book from whatever recipes we gather tonight. So feel free to either send them to us at the chapter or drop them in the chat and we'll save them off and we'll combine them and get them shared. All right, so let's see who else is on. We have Tamara. Hi, Tamara, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, good. We're ready for some cookies. Does anybody, did you bring an awesome recipe?
I did bring an awesome recipe. I didn't know this until you said that, but
No pressure.
I didn't know
I didn't either.
this,
Now I
but
gotta go
will
try to
come up
find
with
one.
Yeah.
So people are gonna be Googling, well, we set up the,
No, I've got to email it in from my personal folder.
Oh, honey, I got Pinterest boards for that.
okay,
Yeah, we're good.
okay, perfect. Let's see who else. So get your Pinterest board ready because we're gonna be sharing pretty soon. And let's see, we know Marcy's here and her favorite pet. And hey, Brian, how are you? Uh-oh, see the
I'm
dog.
good.
Good, great. We have Sandra who keeps disappearing around the moon. Here we go, awesome.
Brian's in the spirit, Christopher as well.
Yep,
Getting that background and using it.
yep, awesome.
And Marcy, although it's hard to see Marcy with the background. Is that a cat?
Yeah, for some reason it's upside down and backwards, and it's right on my computer desktop where I imported it from. So I have no idea how to fix that. So we're as close as we're going to get for now.
Looks fine from my perspective anyway.
Yeah, looks
Huh.
great.
When I see myself, it looks upside down and like the mind map's on the wrong side, but whatever.
Okay.
Well, you just have to tilt your head the correct way.
Okay.
There we go.
We've got about 6 people who are muted as well.
Okay,
Oh, no, that's not allowed tonight.
yeah, feel free to unmute.
No,
This is
hopefully they'll unmute themselves.
excellent. This is all about conversation and having fun.
Come
And-
on, Dolores and Ashutosh and Benedict and Bromer and Lily. Come
It
on.
was such lively conversation. It was just worth sitting back and listening to. And I did find out that there is one of those instant cookie places at Insomnia Cookies by me. So someplace to check out.
I think Bill's got a recipe book out in front of him. There we go. He's doing it old school. Wait till you see mine. Mine's really old school.
I don't know.
Oh,
I
Homer.
might have you beat because
Really?
family recipe. So
Ooh. Oh, we've got a cookie.
Yeah, but mine's better home and gardens. So.
Oh, wow. There you go.
pretty
we do-
traditional.
Excellent. And okay, so who else?
I just emailed it from my home to myself, so I'm waiting for the email to come in.
Okay, great.
I'm gonna step away
Oreo
a
Magic
second.
Bars in the chat window looks good, I'll bet. Oreo
Okay.
Magic Bars.
Ooh,
Ooh,
got to check that out.
yeah.
Right
Does
back.
anybody else want to
got-
introduce
I've
themselves?
got show and tell. if I
You
can see
do?
this. So I made my Buckeyes.
Oh,
One's behind, I can't do this, right behind my shoulder there. This is batch number 2. I was telling Aaron, batch number 2.
That looks good, Kathy.
They
I played batch number 3.
no
there's
way.
180 in a batch. So if anybody wants some, I cannot afford to keep them in my house because my husband and my son and I take care of 180 without blinking.
Oh,
So,
I'm
along
drooling.
along with
Ah.
recipes, if you want some Buckeyes, batch 3 will be around the corner. Drop your address in the chat.
We've got some.
Just might
Got
get a
some-
box.
Why are you doing Buckeyes in Michigan?
Oh, now George, now this is the fun story. Okay. Michigan for
Oh.
20 years. I grew up in Ohio. So when we moved here in '98, I was an Ohio girl.
Okay.
Yeah, and my sons had a difficult time understanding how they really shouldn't wear Buckeye gear on Spirit Day when in school in Michigan.
Uh-huh.
Not until they could protect themselves. So
Okay.
that had to wait a few days. So yes, but I make the Buckeyes, and my Michigan friends have to say, I love Buckeyes before I give them any. They don't have to say, I love the Buckeyes. They just have to say, I love Buckeyes.
Okay.
Well, let's put that cookie up again, because I'm not willing to commit to love until I really get a good look at what this means.
So this is
Oh.
Okay, this recipe is the most easiest recipe ever. It is 1 pound butter, and I will submit it. 1 pound butter, 2 pounds peanut butter, 3 pounds powdered sugar.
Wow.
And at least 4 packages of dipping chocolate. So
wow.
yes, it's a heart attack ready to happen.
Wow.
But
how many pounds of butter?
1 pound.
1 pound. Real butter.
And is that for the 180, the whole 180?
Yeah, yeah. So if you don't want that many,
yeah,
cut it in half.
Okay. I was going to say, for one single batch, that's like a butter cookie. I'm not sure what that would be.
It's a lot. Melt the butter, stir in the peanut butter. Then you got a peanut butter goo, and you stir in the powdered sugar. I will tell you, mixers will work for the first 2 pounds of the powdered sugar. That last pound is all by hand.
Ooh.
Wow.
It is all
Put
by
on your
hand.
food safe gloves and get in there.
A pastry cutter is the world's best item I've ever purchased.
You like the
because-
one with the fingers, like the
this curved thing
It was
with the
made with
handle.
love.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Awesome. It's fun, but it's
So Kathy, that's an idea then for cookies. So when the national championship comes up, if it's Alabama, you have a roll tide cookie. If it's Georgia, you have a bulldog cookie.
Yep. A little later on, Kathy's going to tell you why she's making so many cookies, kind of trying to point.
I know, I can't get my head out of the way.
I know, I can't navigate this.
You have a contract with Crumble?
Stephanie, you missed our crumble and insomnia cookie discussion. So I think the next time we do this, because something tells me everybody's going to want to do this again. I think the next time we do this, we have to figure out a way to get everybody a delivery from whatever their local cookie store is.
Yes.
Oh, please, yes.
Yes,
Yeah, we vote for
Absolutely.
staring at all these cookies.
Absolutely. And a gallon or 10 of coffee.
Or
Just
milk.
saying.
Or 10.
I finally have my recipe. I can copy it into the chat or whatever, but I don't.
Yay.
Okay.
Let me see
So
if
also, I think, Erin, keep me honest. You keep moving on the board. I keep looking for you. We have it where people can share, right? During the session. Hello.
Yes.
The session. Okay. So if anybody would like to go first and share their recipe, feel free to do that.
Via share screen. Yeah.
Via share screen. Thank you. That's always good to have instructions.
So that's an
Via
icon
share
on the
screen.
bottom of your window.
Some people have been putting files into the chat. Yeah.
Well, we want them to, because we're downloading them
Right.
for compilation.
Yeah.
And also,
yeah, it
too,
didn't
I have
format real well doing that, but it's in there.
Hey,
sorry.
No worries.
Formatting disappeared.
Absolutely no worries. So does anybody want to go first in sharing the recipe? Yes, no? Or do I just pick one?
I might as well go because I just put it in the chat. So
Let's do that. Okay.
I don't have it up to share. I guess I could try to pull up the email and then share my screen. Hang on, I'm getting the email up.
Ooh, I think I shared mine.
Oh, okay.
All
You can
right.
go ahead
You
then.
see it?
Go for it.
Oh, it's just the Betty Crocker Ultimate Chocolate Chip Cookies because my husband loves them. And I think that's what's on the side of the chocolate chips.
That looks really good. Erin loves
That looks
chocolate
really good.
chips.
Yeah, my husband is a fan of this. So it goes through. Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
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 Yep,
Chips.
there you go.
Do you have any
Can't go
special
wrong with
things?
the cracker.
Do you have any special things that you do to it to jazz it up at all?
No, because I'm not allowed to go outside the recipe.
Was there a
purist.
bad
That's a man for you.
experience?
No offense, guys.
Was there a bad experience at one time when we tried that?
No, it doesn't taste right. Just complaining.
Oh, wow. Well, it's interesting because Bill had, was it a Betty Crocker cookbook, Bill?
No, I have Better Homes and Gardens.
Better Homes and Gardens. We had this Betty Crocker cookbook with that little label from when I was growing up. I'm not going to tell my age, but let's just say it's an old cookbook because it was my mother's cookbook. And so many of those recipes in there were like so fabulous. And some of them we used Crisco, some of them we used lard.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
You remember back in
Oh,
the day
boy,
when we,
back
when,
in the day.
Yep.
when people
My
used
grandma's
Yep.
recipes. Mm-hmm.
lard, I mean, it was amazing. Probably not a good plan anymore, but
Oh.
but so many of them were made with that. And then my mother would not allow us to eat the cookie dough unbaked because she would say, you know, you can't eat lard
Raw
if
eggs
it's
and
not
stuff.
cooked. I think personally she just didn't want us to eat the cookie dough, but I'm probably wrong.
That's the best part.
Oh, no kidding.
I have to laugh about the old cookbooks, though. I have one that probably no one's heard of, and I have the first edition. I loved mysteries, and my grandma bought me Nancy Drew's from the time I was very little.
Oh, wow.
Nancy Drew had a cookbook that they did all the recipes like Blackwood Hall, blueberry muffins. That is my favorite blueberry muffin recipe in the entire world. It's the only one I use. I still have my Nancy Drew cookbook. There's
Wow.
probably a good cookie recipe in there, but I didn't think to dig that out for tonight because I didn't realize we were doing cookies at the time.
My wife
but-
grew up with the Nancy Drew cookbook and she still makes things from it.
So you
She
know what
loved
I'm
it.
talking about. I'm not the only one that still
It was in-
uses it.
Apparently,
It got
everybody-
lost when I moved and I tore the boxes apart to find it because I'm like, I need my muffins. So yeah, there's several casseroles and stuff in there that are really good. They're fairly simple and I love them. So
Well, feel
that's my
free-
old cookbook.
Now,
Feel
now
free
stop-
to copy it and send it to us. We're going to try to get this published by the weekend. So if you have a moment,
There you go.
no pressure.
Well, I don't think it's a cookie. That's a muffin. So
It's okay.
It's
We can
delight.
pretend.
It's sweet, so we'll go for it.
The muffins are
okay,
for Christmas morning.
I will try to do that and send it to. Who do I send it to though?
You could send it to any of us. You could send it to a professional. You could send it to community, which is mine, or finance, which is Aaron, or president, which is Kathy, or Kathy Warren, any of us, and we'll.
Well, Kathy, I know your emails. I
You can send it to me.
you.
You can send it to
Okay.
me and I'll get it right away.
Perfect.
Oh, you put it in the chat. Thanks.
Sandra, I have to tell you, you have to have a continuing conversation with your husband because we, I was following a recipe to make healthy chocolate chip cookies for my son when he was in track. And so they were banana chocolate chip cookies. So I thought, okay, it's got banana, so it's got to be healthy for these track kids. They don't care as long as it has sugar and chocolate in it. So I'm making the cookies and forgot one critical step to make sure that I had all the ingredients before I started. So I had everything going and I start putting together the flour. I only had about 3/4 of a cup of flour, nothing else. And I was like, I can't go to the store. There was too much going on. And I'm halfway through making these cookies. So the only thing I had left in my house was pancake mix. And I said, well, you know what? It's kind of like flour. So let's try it. So it was like 3/4 pancake mix, 1/4 flour. They are the softest cookies. They are the most delicious cookies. My kids don't like me to use all flour. They don't want me to follow the recipe.
So happy accident. That's
Yes.
Get
So-
invented, right?
So Sandra, I love the happy accident, Kathy. So Sandra, tell your husband he can have some happy accidents if he lets you draw outside the lines every once in a while.
There we go. Well, I'm going to share my cookie next, if everybody's okay with that. Let me move that out of the way. And we had a little bit of a battle with Aaron wanting to know what the secret ingredient was, right, for the cookies. And so you can tell that this recipe has been used quite a bit, right?
It's a sign of a good recipe. The messier the recipe card. Yeah.
This is the recipe card, and this was typed on an actual typewriter.
Wow.
Back in the original recipe card, it's all falling apart, and it's really got a lot of stuff on it, like a lot of food products. But this is probably 50, 60, 70 years old. This is a Serbian recipe from my husband's grandmother's mother, so great grandmother. So it's really old, and so these are kiflica, and I don't call them that because I don't know how to call them, but they're like a they're a cookie, like a
So they're
cookie.
Balkan cookies.
Yeah, and they are delicious with this walnut. And see, I don't see any vanilla here, Aaron. There's no vanilla. Let me make that a little bit bigger. Is it big enough now for you? And don't you love this? This is what you bake it on, 375.
Oh,
And it doesn't tell you how much flour to use. It just says flour.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So and no pictures.
How long do you bake it for? It's at 375, but for how long?
Until it's done.
Oh, okay.
Until it's done.
And a little lemon juice, just a little. Yeah.
Exactly. So this is like they were amazing bakers.
So the outside, so then the outside of it isn't sweet at all, but the filling is a little sweet, right?
Correct. And it's rolled super. It's very, very thin. So it's light and flaky, and it's absolutely delicious. Absolutely delicious. So, but still, Aaron, this is still doesn't show what the secret ingredient is in the cookies. So we're going to get to that shortly, because you still haven't guessed what the secret ingredient is. I think you gave up trying. So who else wants to share their cookie recipe?
I've got mine ready on the screen here.
Okay, perfect.
Mine
I'll go after Christopher.
Step-by-step tantalizing photos. So I thought it was particularly nice to share this. Stained glass window cookies. Here we go. All right, am I sharing the correct screen? Is it working?
No, did you already hit the share?
Oh, I have to put the share button. Okay, I'm used to Teams, so I'm still learning how to operate this.
Yeah,
I'm right there with you.
One's a little different. Each app's a little
Yeah,
different.
it's a little bit different. It's all the same thing when it comes down to it. All right, so everybody can see my cookies.
Oh yeah.
All right, so you start with these delightful things with chocolate chips, half a cup of butter, and then mini marshmallows, and all you have to do is dump them on in there, get everything nice and soggy, and mix it up real nice. Doesn't that look good already? And then just drop it onto the wax paper. And then the magic is that you roll it up into a log, and then you stick it in the fridge for 3 hours so that it all hardens up and gets gooey. And the marshmallows don't quite melt. So they've got this delightful substrate here.
Ooh, that looks
And
good.
you just slice them up.
Really good.
It's the easiest thing in the world.
Yum.
But this is delightful.
Yeah, and you don't have to bake them. Wow.
It's something you can do in a hurry, except for the refrigeration. But
So they're called stained glass cookies because of different colored marshmallows.
stained glass window. Yeah, you could make them either way, but the colored marshmallows are fun. And if you look for, you can get the holiday colors sometimes too. And that's nice.
Nice.
That looks amazing.
Yeah. It does.
Yeah, I want one now.
It looks like it has a lot of chocolate in it.
It's one of those little kids just get a real kick out of this when they're little. You let them do most of the steps and they just love it.
It's awesome. So when we have an in-person meeting again someday, it sounds like we're at least 1 or 10 people need to bake cookies and bring them. So somebody said they wanted to go next?
I'll go because I'm gonna have to drop for the St. Louis meeting because I'm doing the whole social butterfly thing tonight. Okay, 1 second here, and I will share my screen. Okay.
Yeah, you don't want to be on 2 meetings at once and accidentally cuss in the chat window and all that kind of stuff, right?
Oh yeah. Okay.
The challenge is 3 meetings at one time.
Okay.
I've done that before.
So I'm going to show you guys a picture of what this looks like in just a minute, because my grandma's version of this recipe and anything you find on the internet do not look at all the same. So what I'm going to tell you in advance is that this recipe looks a lot closer to Christopher's roll it in a log, slice it up, and you've got these really nicely planed cookies when you bake them. But there's a story with this. When I was a little kid, every year for Christmas, my grandmother gave each one of her kids a 5-gallon bucket of cookies for Christmas.
Wow.
Of what she called lep cookies.
Mhm.
And of course, she had no teeth at that time. And so I grew up calling them lep cookies my whole life. Dad's lep cookies lasted until the following August. And that was about the time that he ran out of cookies in that 5-gallon bucket. And they stayed good that long as we kept the lid on the bucket. They never dried out. They never, yes. And grandma would put them in layers, and in between layers in this bucket, she would cover like a round of cardboard with aluminum foil so that the cookies wouldn't necessarily all stick together. So what I'm going to tell you is that this is a German gingerbread.
Mhm.
And you make it with sorghum rather than molasses, although you can get it from the store molasses. I went to Amazon and bought the sorghum for it. Because it has a stronger flavor, and you really don't need that much spice because the sorghum has a lot of it. And note that it calls for 3 to 4 pounds of flour.
Oh, wow.
This makes 2.5 gallons worth of cookies.
Wow.
Okay.
Pounds.
3 cups of shortening,
Mhm.
right?
Wow.
Okay, so the key ingredients in this, and 2 pounds of raisins that have been chopped. So this is the kind of thing that the other piece of this that you get to know is you make it in advance and you let the flavors blend and mature for about, I've done it in as little as 4 weeks, but she said 6 to 8 weeks. So you start making these cookies around Halloween and they're ready at Christmas. And they are delicious. But in my entire life as a kid, I never saw these cookies go bad.
Wow.
Never saw them mold, never saw them. They were like Twinkies. You know how everybody makes the apocalypse joke about Twinkies will survive the apocalypse?
Yeah.
That's what these cookies were.
Wow.
And our theory is that it has something to do with the level of sorghum in there.
Could be.
But having said that, you can find other. Now, what I learned as an adult is that the long name of this is Lebkuchen, and that's how you spell it. And it's not a P, it's a B. So they are German. We got the part right. They're German gingerbread, right? Mm-hmm. But these every recipe I have found on the internet has like powdered sugar on it and stuff like that, and this doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So at any rate, I wanted to give you guys some context before I showed you the picture. But yes,
don't sorghum,
Suspense is
molasses,
killing me.
and honey never go bad? Sorghum, molasses, and honey,
if they're pure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If they're pure, honey, and I found that with my homemade bread too. When I use raw honey as opposed to sugar in my homemade bread recipes, they don't mold very quickly. They don't mold nearly as quickly.
What catches my eye is the sour milk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've never even heard of that. So
and we've had debates about that as well. We've had debates about that as well. So anyway, this is the kind of recipe that every year I set a goal that I'm going to make this for myself. And every year I remember that last tidbit about you got to start it in October. I've got all the bottles of sorghum on my counter ready to go. I just haven't had time to make it. So we'll shoot for February sometime.
Mm-hmm.
Valentine's Day. There you go.
We'll shoot for Valentine's Day, but I will upload this and it's actually Lebkuchen. But at any rate, that's how my grandmother pronounced it. And she came from a German family. So there were things that she said when I was a kid that I'm kind of realizing what they are now. Like she would go Achfoot all my childhood. Whenever she wanted to pretend like she was swearing, she would say Achfoot. And I don't know what that meant until I got to be an adult, and I learned that it was a German phrase that her parents had said and their parents had said. So there were just little things that my grandma would say, and now and then you find out when you're a grown up that she was just mispronouncing something that had come from the old country.
Mhm.
So anyway, I will upload the recipe, but that's the one that I wanted to share.
That's
How many
amazing.
cookies does this make?
Yeah.
Okay, so what you're supposed to do is mix everything together, and you get your cookie dough, and then you roll it into logs. And I remember them being in my grandmother's refrigerator, and her having these logs that were maybe about that big around, maybe a sand dollar sized log in diameter, but like 18 inches to 24 inches. I mean, you got to have some room in your refrigerator for this, to let them just sit there. And she wrapped them in wax paper and just let them sit there. And that was the cool part, because she could just let them sit there in the refrigerator before she ever wanted to cook them, and let them start, let the flavors start blending and maturing and everything. And then when she was ready to cook them, all she had to do is take them out, slice them up, and put them on the cookie sheet. And then she just baked them like she would other cookies at 350. And
so maybe could you just slice up one roll and make some of the cookies, and then slice up another roll a week later or something, or
even do half the roll.
Yeah, right.
Or even, I mean, it was literally, now that I grew up on a farm, and I never knew what the concept of, Pillsbury cookies in a roll were, because we made them from scratch I had no concept of what that was until I was an adult. But now that I realize it, it's like, grandma basically made her Pillsbury's, and she wrapped them up in wax paper and just left them, and you could slice them off and make the cookies as you go.
They're slice and bake. Yeah.
They're very much a slice and bake. So
that's amazing.
Cool.
It's a huge recipe.
That
Yeah,
is
I was gonna say,
amazing.
it looks like you'd have like 500 cookies.
I think
So do
you
we
would.
get to see the picture of the cookies?
I don't have a picture of my batch
Oh, I
of
thought
cookies.
you did. Okay.
No, the only ones that I've ever been able to find are on the internet, because all of my sisters and I have been trying to replicate my grandmother's recipes ever since she passed. And she had she had a phenomenal cinnamon roll recipe that no one has been able to replicate. She had a phenomenal Lebkuchen recipe that no one's had the time to sit there and wait for 6 weeks to make. And
I understand.
yeah. So that's what we're trying to replicate. And that's where I'm at today.
I understand. My grandmother never measured anything. I have her zucchini bread recipe because of what I did. She would do everything a pinch of whatever. So over the course of 4 years, she made zucchini bread every time I was there when zucchini was in season. And I would make her to put her pinch in, and I would measure it. And I remeasured about 8 or 10 times to get what the true measurement was. Because like I said, she'd say a handful, or she'd say, well, you just put a pinch in. And I'd be like, what's a pinch? Your hand's different than mine. I actually have her recipe. I have not given it to anyone because I put so much work into getting it. So I completely understand where you're coming from. And it comes out like hers, because I worked with her for 4 years to learn it. So, but I wish I'd done that with some of her other stuff. Her fried chicken was to die for, and I cannot duplicate it. So,
and that's the way my whole family has been too. And she was very much the pinch of this. I don't know how I do it. Just watch.
Exactly. That's exactly what your grandma and my grandma must have been like twins, but yeah.
Which is probably how they learned it from their mothers, which,
of course,
Yep. The coolest little thing that I have in my kitchen is a biscuit cutter from my grandmother's kitchen, and it's got to be ancient, and it's got a little piece of masking tape wrapped around it that's got to be from when masking tape had just been invented. And I think it's holding the two pieces of the handle together. It must have come apart at some point. That's the last thing I have of my grandma's, and it's like, she was the kind of person that when she got a Christmas present, she would put a piece of masking tape on the back, and she would write the name of the person that she got it from on the back. so that if she ever forgot, she can remember.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And now my
Oh, that's
husband
really
makes fun
smart.
of me because I will put masking tape on random things and mark it.
I love it. I love it.
It's in the genes.
That is a great recipe. Thank you so much.
I
So-
have one as well. Oop, I don't
Okay,
know if
no,
someone
no,
else
go
wants-
ahead. I was just say, Tamara, that is a fabulous story. Wow. So somebody here has an action item to, in 6 to 8 weeks, to show us what those cookies look like. I'm not sure whose that's going to be, but it's probably not going to be me.
So
Well,
my
I will
cookies,
start. I will start this weekend.
Awesome.
I don't have a picture of them. I wish I did. This is one of my mother's recipes, and I think she got it from one of my grandmothers, but I'm not sure about that. It makes a very light chocolate chip cookie, but it's actually meringue. So it's a very light, I can't even describe the flavor, but it's a chocolate chip cookie. It's called meringue chocolate chip cookies. And it uses egg whites, salt, sugar, vanilla, and chocolate chips. And you basically go about making a meringue almost like you would to put a meringue on a pie. But you add in vanilla and chocolate chips and you bake it at a low temperature. It's 275. And it's going to make your meringue cook, but with a crisp, light crunch to it. I can't describe it, but it's so unique, and it's completely my mom and my relatives. And the first time I had one of these, I remember my mom said, "I want you to try this chocolate chip cookie." And she hands me this white thing. And I look at her and I go, "Why is it white, Mom?" She said, "Just try it. You'll like it." I'm going, "Why is it white, Mom?" And then I tried it, loved it, and ate about 6 of them. And she's like, "Now slow down. I don't have a big batch of them. You have to save some for Dad." I'm like, "Why?"
Too late.
You have to understand, I was probably 3 or 4 years old at the time, so it's not as bad as the 54-year-old me saying it. Mom was laughing at me going, no, you got to leave some for Daddy. I'm going, no. And that's my first memory of these cookies. Now, she has told me since that, when she'd use it for a party or something, she would put the food coloring in to make them red or green or whatever. As a family, we never did that. They were white, and Mom called them her snow cookies.
Oh, that is so cool.
I don't have that in the recipe, but she would ask me, "Marcy, do you want to make snow cookies today?" And I'd say, "With the chocolate chips?" And she'd say yes. So that's my earliest memory of cooking with my mother, was making snow cookies. And her job was to, whip and get the meringue when I was real young. And my job was to fold in the chocolate chips and, of course, eat some of the chocolate chips. But that is my snow cookies. So, when you're putting in the book, I did email this version because it's formatted a little better. I forgot to put in it before I emailed it snow cookies, but that's my little sidebar to it, that it's my snow cookies. So
it is a
there you go.
Great story. Wow.
I want one.
I do too.
They're good. And it's not that hard. That's what's funny is, when my mom was making them, and then when you hear about people putting meringue on pies and everyone's like, "Oh, it's so hard to whip it and do it." It's not that hard. It's just, you have to get the peak of the meringue because you have to have it drop, as meringue would, kind of fluffy. And you make it kind of like a chocolate cookie. It's not real big around, they're small, but they're cute and they're good. So anyway. Stephanie, I did send it through the community, but I forgot to put my snow. So if you make a note that they are snow cookies,
I've got a note. I appreciate
you.
I appreciate you guys sharing all these family stories. I mean, it kind of makes me cry a little bit, because this is, like the sentiment of Christmas, right? Like all these great memories of family, whether it's your parents or working with your kids and just all those things that bring back just like the best memories. And
Exactly.
Aaron, that's the secret ingredient.
Love?
Love.
Absolutely. And it makes me smile because I'm thinking all my grandparents are gone now. My mom has the start of Alzheimer's, so we're getting to where I won't be able to do stuff like snow cookies with her, but the memories will always be there, and I'm going to cry thinking about it.
The love. Yeah, I know it did.
I just had her for Thanksgiving and saw how it was going. So I'm sorry I'm a little emotional.
Good job,
We're-
Stephanie.
I know.
You made her
make
cry.
people cry. I'm sorry. We are here for you. If you ever, we're here for you. Definitely.
Well, on that note,
you.
Marcy, with that that awesome connection to family, I wanted to share something with all of you guys to see if you guys have heard of this before. So I am going to see if my share works. Let me. Okay. Can you tell me what you guys are seeing? Because I can't tell.
It's like a PowerPoint.
Your power.
Okay, cool. Oh, are you? Oh, I'm sorry. Nope. Okay. All righty. So, what
I see that hungry picture again.
I know. Do you see a PowerPoint or do you just see the single slide? Sorry, my two screens are driving me crazy today.
I see the single slide, but I see the deck on the side. So it's
We're
not
seeing the whole PowerPoint.
Yeah, it's not
You
the
are seeing the whole thing.
presentation mode. It's in
It's not in slideshow mode.
There.
right. That's what I meant. I don't know how to say it.
That's okay.
I'm brain dead.
I will
No,
be
it's
pretty
not gonna
soon.
go.
Sure.
I've had a half hour break and been in solid meetings since 7 this morning up till now. So that's why I'm brain dead.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Are
it's the only this is the only day I've had it like this, but it's wow.
Is it showing better now or no? You still seeing my deck?
There's a resume slideshow.
Well, it
Kind of
is
a little bit
just
to the
not.
left
Okay,
there.
hang on. Let me just get out of this one. Okay, hang on.
If you click on the very bottom of the screen, I could see a minute ago, there's a thing that looks like it's on the right, it's like a slide thing. If you click that, it goes to full screen or slide down. I don't know how to explain it.
All right.
I'm just waiting for somebody to say, "Are you on mute?" Because you know.
Okay. Now it's in presentation mode, but we see 2 slides.
Okay, my Zoom and me are not going well.
Yeah, how are you even doing that?
We're just gonna go with this, and we're gonna
That's
see what
awesome.
happens.
Hey,
So,
we've all been there, so go with
roll
it.
with it.
This is what I
Yeah.
really intended to do, because those that don't want to listen to me can look ahead, you know. So there we go. So
Oh.
I won't even know, because I'm not even looking at everybody. I'm looking at my screen, so I won't be offended. So the question that Stephanie kind of posed in finding the secret ingredient and connecting holiday cookies and holiday recipes to building a community. I'll be honest, I was at a quandary when she first posed this. I'm like, how can cookies build a community? Well, as it turned out, I have gotten involved in a group called Cookies for Caregivers. Have any of you guys heard of this? Excellent, Aaron, excellent. So for those that have not heard about it, when the pandemic started last year, everybody got into doing things that were a little bit out of the box for them. So there were 2 friends, 2 dads in Huntington, Pennsylvania, who started baking. One gentleman, Scott, got furloughed, like a lot of people did when the start of the pandemic hit. And he decided to take his time during his furlough to perfect his chocolate chip cookie. Well, his friend Jeremy said, "Oh, no, I have the better chocolate chip cookie." So thus started the bake-off. So you have these 2 dads perfecting their cookies, which means they're making a lot of cookies. And they have a lot of cookies that perhaps their family, like my family, doesn't want to eat all the Buckeyes. Don't want to eat all these cookies. So they're like, okay, we've got to do something with all these cookies. So they ended up taking all of their cookies and they turned it into serving cookies to those who serve the public. So they started reaching out to essential workers, hospitals, medical staff, police, fire department, everybody, the Amazon driver, the FedEx driver, they just started the cookies that they made, they started giving them to those that were really working hard during the pandemic. Well, people heard about it, and the two people in Huntington, the two friends, turned easily into 100, and they started making cookies. And what happened, as it does on social media, somebody starts talking about two dads making cookies with a bake-off, turns into lots of people baking cookies. What does this mean? So of course the Today Show got in on it. Once it hit the Today Show, it went viral. It just went crazy. So now it has exploded across the country, and more. Canada and India actually have Cookies for Caregivers chapters. And it's just become an awesome way for people to get together, make cookies, and give some love and give some thanks to those people that just are tired and out of their sorts. So what they do is, what they have done in Pennsylvania is every week, Jeremy will select 4 bakers to bake 4 dozen cookies. Scott, on the other side, he coordinates who's going to receive the cookies to make sure that that's okay, that they're comfortable with getting cookies, and safe cooking and all that kind of stuff is taking place. People will individually wrap the cookies or place, 1, 2, or 3 cookies in like a Ziploc bag. So there's very minimal hand-to-hand contact, if you will. So they're really trying to do something nice for these folks, not to make them worried about, can I really eat somebody else's cookies? So just between April 20 and December 20, they had involved 200 volunteers, 100 bakers, to say thank you to frontline workers. They've delivered over 1,600 dozen. That's 19,900 cookies. And that's just their Huntington, Pennsylvania group. It is now ballooned into over 112 Cookies for Caregiver groups in 37 states, Washington, D.C., Canada, and India. And this is how I got involved. Last summer, a friend of mine on Facebook, I just got a post randomly, and it was this Cookies for Caregivers. So I started checking it out. I'm like, what is this all about? I love baking cookies. My 2 boys don't live at home. So it's just my husband and I eating it, or when my boys are home for them to eat. But I like to bake, but I don't like all the cookies hanging around. So this was a win-win for me. So I can bake cookies and I have to taste them, but then I can push the majority of them out. So I did a quick look, and just in Florida, where Steph and George are, there's at least 4 chapters going on between Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach, Southwest, Volusia County. You can tell I don't know where that's at. Orlando, Kentucky. You guys have 4 as well, Lexington and Louisville. So I know your Kentucky chapter covers both Lexington and Louisville. So I'm gonna be wanting to see some Cookies for Caregivers going on. And here in Michigan, I'm involved with the Southeast Michigan chapter. So this was my segue of how do cookies build community? Well, they build community because it's like Steph said, the secret ingredient. It is the lesson of love. It's a labor of love. It's just reaching out to people, doing something yourself, and then giving that to someone else. And it does build community, because then you're saying thanks. And what's a better way, especially in this day and age? What's a better
I
thing
have to see if
do
there's
than
one in
say thank
Illinois.
you? Yeah, I didn't check everybody. I should have checked Illinois for you, but
No problem. I just wanted to say, in my local town, there's something similar to this, but it's not this one. But there's a little girl here that was seeing, I guess through her school and stuff, she saw people that were very down and depressed and stuff. So she started a thing on Facebook where she and her mom bake cookies, and were taking them to individuals in neighborhoods that were going through hard times. Like if she'd see a post on Facebook that a family had a fire, they would take take cookies and stuff along with a note just saying, we love you. We're going to see what we can do to help you. And it's morphed and become a big thing in Mount Prospect. And I've helped out with that a couple times. So it's a similar type thing. It's baking and whatnot, but it started with a little girl, and she saw someone who in her class who'd had a fire, and, you know, they were trying to rebuild their home and were staying with other people. And the kid was kind of dejected. It was around the holidays, and that's where it started from. And it's kind of morphed from there. So this type of thing builds communities, and that's what we need these days. So thank you, Cathy. I'm anxious to see about this group as well.
And it's fun. Just check out, just Google Today's Show Cookies for Caregivers, and you'll get that up. I can send it to Steph, and she can send it out.
That's what I'm doing right now.
As well.
They have a Facebook group. I just did a whole bunch of research.
Oh, cool.
Excellent. Thank you, Cathy.
Yeah, it's just too fun. It's just too fun.
Right.
Yeah, it's one of those groups Cathy was talking about in the different states. They all have a Facebook group, or most of them do. So not only the Pennsylvania that started it, but those that are in Michigan and Kentucky, Florida as well. You know, they've all created their Facebook page.
I tried to find the total number of cookies across all of them that they've done, but I'm not finding the magic key to get in there. The way they've set these chapters up, they actually have some Robert's Rules of Order, so to speak, to help people know how to set them up, just to give them their tips and tricks. But they have, if you set yourself up as an administrator for a chapter, like my friend is for the Southeast chapter, then they have access to a administrator Facebook page. So I'm kind of thinking inside that one is where they're sharing how many totals they do and how many deliveries they've done. I really want to know. I want to see a total. Every once in a while I see some totals, and it's huge. I mean, it's just absolutely huge. But
I love it when a grassroots effort takes off like that, though. I just love that.
It sounds like a great opportunity for George to do some data analytics around it. And maybe we could do that as a practice in one of the ECBA classes.
Ooh.
Don't you like that? I keep giving George zingers today, because George is gonna help us do it. And hopefully you're still awake. I'm teasing you. I know you are. So before we move on to our next part, and Cathy, thank you so much. That just shows how much love there is in the community, and we need more of that for sure. So before we move on to the next part of it, because we're getting low on time, and I've thoroughly enjoyed the cookie part, so I'm sorry that we didn't put a screeching halt to talking about it. Does anybody else have a cookie recipe that they want to share? Because we definitely, to me, this is like the best part of the night, the stories and the cookies. Going once.
I emailed it in.
Okay, you phoned it in, huh?
Yeah.
Phoned it in. Okay.
Yeah.
Emailed it in. Anybody else? No? Okay. Well, we're going to segue into the next piece, which is our mind mapping exercise. We don't have a lot of time for it, but if people are really interested, we could, in one of our chapter meetings or a different time, or BA on the street, or tools and tools, tips and tricks. Cathy, what's the name of the next year's Southeast Michigan? I'm not saying it right. Tools,
tips and tricks. I'm stopping there. Sorry.
Tips and tricks. Southeast Michigan next year is doing a tools, tips and tricks segment throughout the year. So I'm sure mind mapping may be part of that as well. So lots of opportunities if we don't really dig in deep, because today's a social day, right? We're getting ready for the holidays and really just feeling good and positive about everything we accomplished this year. So
I think I've downloaded all of the stuff out of the chat window, but I'm not positive, and I emailed it to you and Aaron.
Okay, great. All right, perfect. I appreciate that. See, great community, making sure that we don't miss anything. So the next segment, we're going to do mind mapping, and mind mapping is technique 10.29 in the Babcock. And Cathy, did you want to do the Slido, or do we want to just move on and have George talk about mind mapping?
With the timing, I'm not sure that we want to. The Slido, everybody has to have a phone. It's kind of like Kahoot.
Oh, that'll take a little bit of time then. Okay.
So we can try that another time.
Yeah, we'll do that another time. That's fine. And everybody's okay with that, right? I mean, nobody's gonna be disappointed. Okay, so George, we're teeing you up. So I have on my screen, you guys can see. Let me find George on my screen so I can have a good conversation. George, are you still there? I think you ran away.
Oh, I'm here.
All right. So in the BABOK, 10.29 is mind mapping. So for me, when I think about the BABOK and the techniques, I always go back here and really just look at the general guidance to say, okay, is what I think it is really what it is, right? So 10.29 says mind mapping is used to articulate and capture thoughts, ideas, and information. Okay. And it is a form of note-taking that captures your ideas and information in a non-linear diagram. So Cathy, when Cathy and I were talking about it in advance, prepping, saying, okay, what do we want to talk about with mind mapping? And you had mentioned that you talk about it being pen to paper, right? A lot of times when you get into mind mapping, you don't immediately go to software. You start sketching things out, you start thinking about it, you start, getting some thought into it. Well, so what do we think about that? I mean, is about getting started in mind mapping. What are some of the ways that you guys are doing it? And George, do you have any suggestions?
I'll tell you a story here. I was not a big fan of mind mapping. It was something that I thought was, I couldn't really figure out what the benefits were to mind map. It wasn't clicking. And so I was teaching a class in Dubai. And one of the people in my class was a business analysis class. And at the end of the day, he would go back, and he lives in Saudi Arabia. So he would go back to his hotel room and he'd come back with this mind map of everything that we talked about. And actually he took the BABOK and he mind mapped the BABOK. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, this is good. And so I still didn't see the benefits of it because, you look at somebody else's mind map, you don't get a whole lot out of somebody else's mind map. But when you do it yourself, then there are some benefits that take place. And it may not necessarily be something that is very obvious at the beginning. And so, taking that, fast forward, I do another class, and this one guy that was in my class, he was struggling with the concepts that we were given. And so I taught him how to do the mind map. So as we're doing the class, he's mind mapping the things that we're talking about. And I started asking questions about the material, and he was constantly raising his hand because he remembered a lot of the details. And so that kind of clicked with me as well. And so my wife and I, we got a hold of a neuro, she's a PhD in neuroscience, right? And she talks about how the brain works and how mind mapping is actually just a representation of how your brain works and how your brain stores information. So we have short-term memory and we have long-term memory. And when you do mind mapping properly, basically, and by using physical, then it actually helps you to store that information without a lot of effort. And you'll be amazed at how much the recall and retention is. So it's a way of being able to simulate how the brain works by putting these concepts. And when you think about it, we tend to look at words, like looking at what you're saying here, we're looking at a bunch of words, but it's not every word in this paragraph that makes sense. We can pick out keywords in these sentences, and it's really the essence of those keywords that will help us to remember the topic that we're talking about. So this is an example of a mind map that's shown here. You take your main topic and then you take your branches and you branch off of it. But you'd be amazed at when you do this physically with hand to paper, how much retention you get from an understanding of the material. So Stephanie, if you want to hold, I'll show you one that I did for the BABOK.
Okay.
All right, let me see.
Good.
All right, so I got a book full of mind maps. I did it for the PMI PBA, right? So in preparing for the PMI PBA exam, which is a project management business analysis exam, I used mind mapping for that. And then for the IIBA data analytics, business data analytics, I use it for that. And I'll tell you that it made a world of difference in terms of recall of material and lots of material. So I'm sure that it made a difference in me passing or not passing those exams. All right, so here's a mind map here, as you can see, and it is pencil to paper. You got the Babcock. So you just take the, it's like an outline. You take this, what is the topic about? And then if you go to the first section in the outline, okay, we talk about the standards. What about the standards is it that we need to know about? So the standard breaks out into global, if you can read it, global resources, and so there's that branch. And then the next one is describe the knowledge areas, the tasks, the underlying competencies, and so on and so forth. And so you take that out, as far as you can. Now you don't have to have everything on one paper. You can actually branch out. You get as much as you can. If you notice that what I'm showing here, I go from right to left. So you got the standards, then you got the purpose, then you have the next area there. And so you go around in the circle until you have everything branched out. And you go as far as you can on any particular branch. Okay, so everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
It's really like it's like like outlining, but it's more in a picture format. Now there are people who put pictures on here to help them remember things. I'm not I can do stick figures, but I can't do a lot of other things. So, but it helps. It helps in the retention, and you can take any subject and do that and do a mind map of that subject or concept and idea. So my example here is showing you how you can use it for preparing for an exam, such as this CBAP or any other professional exam. But you can also do this from the standpoint of being able to be creative and do some brainstorming. Maybe start with the concept or idea and then branch it out into to other concepts as you think about the other concepts and other ideas. Mm-hmm. So you can use it as a way of creating new ideas and also learning new material. Okay, so all right, that's an example there. I'm done there, Stephanie.
You're on mute, Stephanie.
Oh, see, finally, waiting all night to hear that. What is a meeting without that?
Yeah. All right.
So thank you, George, for showing that, and that's a lot of writing. Yeah. A lot of writing, but like you were saying, there are a lot of them that I've seen lately, and I don't know about anybody else's experience. I'd love to hear about it, where people are really using not just the traditional. I think you guys can see my screen, right? Mm-hmm. My sharing, not just their traditional lines, and there's different ways of doing mind mapping, but they're using a bunch of graphics and images. And every time I see one, I have to admit, I get a little jealous because I can barely do a stick figure. And so people who are very artistic make it so interesting. So they take like what George did and put the pictures and the graphics and really display it. So maybe in 2021, 2022, it'll happen for me. Go ahead, George.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of the electronic tools that you get have those capabilities, and you can find. You can get apps for your mobile phone, and you can have a app on your mobile phone, and you can be out anywhere. And if you download, I think it's there's a couple of them out that are out there. You can look for them. Just go on your app and look for mind maps, and then you can generate one. And so you can be out. Maybe you're out somewhere and you have a little time, maybe on a plane or whatever. You can just start creating mind maps using your phone or your tablet or whatever devices you have handy. So it's very handy from that standpoint to be able to do that. And so you're capturing ideas and you can store it. And there's some other tools that will allow you to not only do what you have here, Stephanie, it will actually convert this into a beginning of a slide presentation. So you can start mind mapping the ideas, and then at some point when you're satisfied with the ideas, then you convert it into a to a PowerPoint presentation.
Yep. This is Lucidchart. I'm not selling it. I promote it, but I do use it a lot for a lot of the diagrams that I use. This is one of the tools that are out here. And to your point, it allows you to, very readily take your shapes, start to build it with your topics and your subtopics. Also allows you to, add the slides, and then you can share it off for people. Now, this was a canned one that was a template out there that I started to build, and we originally crafted this around, we were going to get a bunch of ideas from all of you and start really building this out, but it's getting kind of late and I don't want to keep people too long. So if you're interested in another session with mind mapping, please let us know, because we really would like to get into it. Kathy Warren has a word cloud concept that we want to do to pull in some ideas. We've got some great things, but honestly, I was enjoying the cookie part more than I was wanting to get into this. So true confession. True confession. Sorry. And also to another guidance, as you know, plenty of ways out here on the internet to understand mind mapping, lots of videos, lots of guidance out here. I'm sure everybody does that. Like I said, within mind mapping, within Lucidchart, they have templates, just like with a lot of their other templates. So I like I said, there's all kinds of things out here. So find a tool if pen and paper isn't what you want, and then reach out to your community to help you learn how to do it and help you to grow. There are many people within our community, people that we see in our chapter meetings over and over again, that are really, really good at this and would be happy to help you extend and learn how to do mind mapping. So, don't be afraid to try it. And hopefully this little couple tips and tricks tonight was helpful.
I think one of the things I'd like to share too, and that is that the learning skills and learning styles of different people, that not everyone learn the same way. And so mind mapping can actually, you might take a person who might have difficulty in learning, and that person doing this type of thing can actually improve their ability to learn. So that's something you want to keep in mind as well.
Great point, George. I mean, we've definitely noticed that from time to time with people in our study groups where some of the traditional things don't work for them. And so we've been working on finding other tools to help them that are maybe a little more out there, right? To help them, because that'll maybe work for them better.
Yes.
Right. And in the worst case, we could, pretend to do another mind mapping session and talk about cookies again, because I'm just saying, I'm kind of liking this approach.
Yeah. Or we could talk about pizza. I mean,
pizza.
That would work too.
Or better yet, Stephanie, we can actually do the mind mapping and bring cookies and eat
Even
them while we
better.
do the mind mapping.
That would be great.
Even better. See,
I think mind mapping would be a great way to invent a new flavor of cookies or something.
you're right.
There you go.
There you go.
You're right.
There
I
you
like
go. Let's get
what you guys
creative.
I agree.
Do it
Because we
around
could,
Easter and talk about eggs.
Bob said how to make cookie recipes with mind mapping.
that is perfect. Honestly, that is perfect.
Before you guys
Definitely going to need dinner the minute I hang up from this.
I'm gonna go eat cookies. I have chocolate chip cookies downstairs. So
Do you have the
I just placed a link for Caroline Leaf on how to improve your memory using mind mapping.
oh, thanks.
Cool.
What did you just say? Because
I keep saving the chat because we keep getting new links in it. It's awesome.
It's a YouTube link that George put in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be funny. You said improve your memory. I'm like,
Well, it does. I mean, she talked about how to improve your memory using mind maps. Well, that is
If
the whole
anyone wants to know for the chat, there's 3 dots next to where your 2 is, next to the thing. If you click that, it'll allow you to save the chat and it puts it in a folder for you. So just to let people know, because there's a lot of good stuff in this chat.
Yeah, it puts it in a Zoom folder. Yeah.
Yep. And then George, were you saying something?
Oh, no, just to reiterate, I think to understand the science behind mind mapping, you may want to check out this and then look at any other references that this lady has talked about as far as as far as mind mapping. Okay.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, before we wrap up, one last chance for anybody to share a cookie. We could going once, going twice. Okay. All right.
I'm gonna show you guys, I haven't eaten one yet, just so you know.
Oh,
I never went
Oh.
off video and I still
What
have 4 on the plate.
oh my goodness.
That is unbelievable.
Kathy, you can only eat those when the Buckeyes win.
Well,
Okay,
Come on.
seriously, there's
Say
a,
it.
I'm hoping they play in the Rose Bowl because that's the only bowl that
Or
matters. You know?
maybe it should
The
be
Rose Bowl is the best bowl.
maybe it should be the other way. If they don't win, you're depressed and you eat the cookies.
Uh-oh.
That was painful.
You're not hurting.
painful.
You're
I'm
not
just
hurting
cheering
my
them on
feelings.
if you hear her in the back going
Painful.
crazy.
That's painful.
We're going for Georgia, just so you know. So
Okay.
that's what I'm rooting for.
All right. Well, today's social event, was brought by the Southeast Michigan chapter. Ta-da, I'm trying to point to people. And the Bluegrass chapter. So as a community event, we wanted to bring everybody together to really continue to build our community and talk about cookies, because we love cookies, and really talk about the love that goes into the work that IIBA does with each other, with the events that we put out there, with our efforts to help mentor, and also just to bring people together and say, we're here. It's one big, one small world. And if you need help in any way, feel free to reach out to any of the chapters or any chapter members or board members, because we're always here to help you and help you find the resources that you need. And especially, in these virtual worlds, sometimes people feel disconnected, and we just want to say to you that we're your community and we're here for you. And we appreciate you. And with that, I'm going to throw it over to George and then to Kathy Lee.
Well, thanks everyone. Thank you, Stephanie and Kathy, for organizing this and putting it together. It's been very, very good. Very, I don't know. It's helping in understanding people and getting people together. And I've known a lot of you and worked with a lot of you in different capacities. So thank you very much. Our chapter is continuing to do different things, and we're getting people involved in helping each other to grow in our career and grow professionally. So thank you very much. We have a meeting next week with Dr. What's her name?
Strasser.
Strasser,
Melissa
yeah,
Strasser.
Melissa Strasser. And she'll be talking about, what's the topic there, Kathy?
It's employee retention, a holistic approach to employee retention. So kind of how to do talent retention, honestly.
Right. And it is relating to, the challenges that people are facing in regards to keeping people employed during the time of the pandemic. So I think it's an excellent topic. And she's done a good job. She spoke at the one of the PMI chapter meetings for the chapter here in Florida. So I thought she would be a good speaker to speak to our group. So hopefully you can attend. And thank you very much, everybody, for coming out. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. Kathy?
Okay, just a shameless plug. We're having Dr. Joe Perez speak on January 18th on bringing your data to life and life to your data. So that's going to be very interesting, but that'll be next year, in January 18th. And so until then, happy holidays, and, have a wonderful rest of your evening tonight. Hopefully everyone has not starved to death. And
Not sure I'm going to get dinner. She wants playtime.
She wants playtime.
Yeah. And I've got a cat I have to let inside from outdoors who was running around out there. Anyway, happy holidays, and see you all either next week or next year, right?
Right.
So,
This was great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, co-host Kathy.
Well, you too, Steph. Glad you showed up.
Great work.
Great job, everyone.
Excellent.
Thank you for all the effort.
Fantastic.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Yep,
We
happy
appreciate
holidays.
you. And look out for the email with the recipes, okay? It's coming your way soon. Thank you, everyone.
Wait.
Have a good
Thank you.
one. Bye-bye.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas. It is almost Christmas.
Wow, that's scary. I'm not
I
ready.
know, exactly.
She's ready.
She is so ready.
He wants toys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Romer.
good
Get some
night.
sleep.
Thanks, Romer.
Oh, thank you. Great one. Thanks.
Thanks.
I love your sweater, Kathy. I love that. So
I do
festive.
too.
I went Christmas sweater for you guys.
You did. I went IIBA
I'll see
shirt.
you in the morning. I think I'm going to go appease the child and get food.
All right. Bye, Marcy.
Bye,
Take care.
Marcy.
You too.
Bye, Sandra. See, I did no cahoots tonight, Sandra, because you know I can't handle that. I can't do it the right way. So too much pressure. Just saying. Anyway, don't be a stranger. We've missed talking to you. She's on mute. If you can hear me, Sandra, don't be a stranger. We've missed you. And we're planning for the next year's BBAC. Am I saying it right, Aaron?
Yep, that's right.
Okay. All right.
Be back.
Be back. And let me point the right way.
Which way?
Aaron's going to be doing cahoots next year, not me. Anyway.
We'll rope you into it again.
But to do cahoots, you need to have a straight man with you. So you got to have the funny person and the straight person when you're doing cahoots, because it's always taken two.
I don't know if it's cahoots or if I just need to drink or not drink, or not that I was, but I'm just saying maybe
Drink
next year.
more.
No, anyway. Well, thank you very much, guys, and have a nice Christmas. And
This
Kathy,
was fun.
I had a great time. And thank you, Aaron, for all your help.
Thanks for the backdrop, Aaron. It was fun.
Oh,
And
you're
all your
welcome.
help.
I still like the
Thank
head
you,
stuff.
Tahaz
It's like
and
antlers on
Sandra,
my head.
for
Yep.
staying and for being here.
We appreciate it. And Aaron, thank you for helping, as always.
You're welcome.
He's a wingman, makes it happen. Well, I'm going to drop off because my cat is also calling me. So you guys have
Alrighty.
a great night.